Now available in paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Blast from the Past. Hell's aspiring angel takes on her demonic doppelganger in this action-packed, time-traveling E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Blast from the Past with a bonus E-Steam comic book, No Good Deed, in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Yesterday, your Michael Eric Dyson said that Joe Biden paid the debt owed to black Americans by picking a black man, Lloyd Austin, to be the next Secretary of Defense. Now, when I heard this statement, I had to shake my head because this is the kind of screwed up thinking from these baby boomer bootlicks that has practically prevented the black community from being able to grow economically. Now, the mindset that most of these baby boomer bootlicks have is what I call the I got mine F you mentality. And when these baby boomer bootlicks manage to get some sort of attention from white people and get some sort of position with things like Joe Biden's cabinet, they think that they have actually achieved something, but in actuality, they have achieved nothing. Now, the appointment of Lloyd Austin to be the first black Secretary of Defense means nothing to black people because it's an empty symbolic gesture meant to promote so-called diversity but not bring anything actually tangible to black people in the black community. Yeah, you can go out here and say that Lloyd Austin is the first black Secretary of Defense, but that doesn't really bring anything tangible back to black communities which are still struggling in poverty. When I look at this decision to appoint your Lloyd Austin to be the first black Secretary of Defense, it means about as much as George Herbert Walker Bush appointing Colin Powell to be the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And it means just about as much as your George W. Bush appointing Colin Powell to be the Secretary of State. So in that case with George Herbert Walker Bush and George W. Bush, it was an empty symbolic gesture, and the appointment of Lloyd Austin is also an equally empty symbolic gesture, and as I see it, does not pay any debt to black Americans, because when I look at these appointments of black Americans to these prominent positions, and even the election of Barack Obama as the first black president, none of these individuals have paid any sort of debt to black America, and none of these individuals have made any sort of effort to reach back to the brothers like myself out here and give us any sort of opportunity. No, most of these baby boomer bootlicks, when they go out here, they have this individualized mindset, and they believe that as individuals, they have arrived, and because they have arrived and got theirs, they don't have to come back for the brothers and the sisters out here. They've got what I call the I got mine F you mentality, and once they get theirs, instead of them trying to help another brother or sister up the ladder, what they do is pour gasoline on the ladder, light it with a match and watch it burn, then kick it down and make sure that no other brothers or sisters are able to come up and be in their position. And that's something that your Michael Eric Dyson thinks is something significant, but again, proves to me he doesn't understand how much this country owes black America. Now, black America was the one during slavery that built this country for white America, because most white Americans did not want to go out here and participate in the back-breaking labor of building their own country. So they went out here and enslaved Africans and went out there and made our ancestors do the hard work of building this country and never paid us a single dime. And that's something that we deserve compensation for in this generation because our ancestors helped build this country, and that's a debt that is still on the books as I see it as related to America. And I refuse to be like Michael Eric Dyson and absolve people like Joe Biden as related to that debt, because if it wasn't for black Americans putting in that slave labor, this country would not be where it is right now. And saying that picking one black man for Secretary of Defense erases that debt, that just shows how just dysfunctional your Michael Eric Dyson is and how much of a baby boomer bootlick he is, because he's sitting there, oh, I'm going to say that the debt is paid. No, that debt is nowhere near paid, and black people deserve reparations in exchange for all of the centuries of hard labor that our ancestors put into building this country, and they also deserve reparations for our grandfathers winding up having their ability to go out here and generate income and actualize their potential suppressed by racist things like the black codes after slavery and things like Jim Crow racism and the terrorism from leftist groups like the Ku Klux Klan over 100 years of Jim Crow. And we also deserve reparations for the current and ongoing discrimination that keeps black men like myself from gaining access to the job market and gaining opportunities at full-time employment, because many of these human resource departments, they actively participate in discrimination against heterosexual black men in an effort to prevent black men from being able to make a living wage or be able to develop an opportunity to build any sort of economic base in their communities and be fathers in their community as well. So this debt has not been paid at all, and your Michael Eric Dyson is, as I see it, an extremely disgusting human being for sitting there and trying to excuse Joe Biden and excuse these white supremacists who have benefited from black slave labor and suppression of the black economy by saying some empty symbolic gesture made by a president is going to pay the debt in full as related to black Americans and in this country that are owed. Black Americans, that debt has nowhere near been paid by these empty symbolic gestures made by the president, and they will never be, as I see it, be paid enough until we start talking about financial compensation for all of our ancestors' hard labor and compensation for denying black Americans, especially heterosexual black men, access to the economy and building our own economy with black-owned businesses, denying us access to full-time, employment as related to the job market, and denying us access to being able to even go out here and be leaders and authority figures of our own families. So black America has been denied so much, and it's these boule black bootlicks who want to go out here and excuse America that really make things hard for everybody else, because these guys like Michael Eric Dyson, they sit there in their academic fiefdoms and they're going to sit there and try to be the buffer class to try to go out here and speak for black America. Well, you don't speak for Sean James, and I believe you don't speak for the rest of black America when it comes down to talking about the debts owed to black Americans. When it comes down to the debts that owed to black Americans, we deserve reparations. and we deserve tangible reparations in the form of financial compensation from the United States government. Because if the United States government can go out here and pay all of these other groups for things like the World War II, then and Native Americans, then they can go out here and pay black Americans, foundational black Americans, for all of the labor that our ancestors did in building this country. And they can also go out here and pay for denying black Americans an opportunity to go build our own economy. And they can pay for all of the current and ongoing discrimination that keeps black Americans from accessing the job market, because foundational black Americans have never really been given an opportunity to go out here and achieve the American dream. And what's sad is we have people like Michael Eric Dyson who believe it's okay for black Americans to continue to be denied access to achieving the American dream. That debt has not been paid as related to what black Americans have been owed. I mean, we haven't put even a down payment on all of the things that black Americans are deserving as related to what we deserve for building this country for white America. And we're not nowhere near compensated by something like these empty symbolic gestures made by a president-elect as related to picking a black man for Secretary of Defense. Again, an empty symbolic gesture, because that black male will not go out here and reach back for other brothers and sisters, and that black male probably does not have a mindset for black empowerment. He probably, like Michael Eric Dyson, is another one of these baby boomer bootlicks who is caught up in individualism and only thinks about himself and does not think about all of these other brothers out here or these other sisters out here, because those of us who think about those other brothers and sisters out here, when we go out here, we understand that we want more than empty symbolic gestures of picking one individual. No, we want tangibles that will benefit all of the black community, and we want tangible reparations in the form of financial compensation. And that debt has not been paid in full until your Joe Biden or whoever is in the White House cuts the check. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find digital versions on Smashwords, the iBookstore, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle, Vampires Stalk the Darkness of the Eternal Night. Get your copy of Eternal Night in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com.